Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tom Smith with the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. And guess what? It is festival season. The season is finally upon us. I think a lot of members and whiskey lovers globally look forward to this time of year. This is the month in which festivals would typically happen across Scotland over the next 2 weeks. So, obviously, certain pandemic situations have kept a lot of these festivals from going on in person, but we're still trying to keep the spirit going and releasing our festival bottlings over the next 2 weeks. So this is just the kickoff. This is the start, and we're starting today in the Speyside. Speyside is one of the smaller regions in the mainland of Scotland, but the largest as far as volume of whiskey producers. You have about 55% of all Scotch whiskey distilleries crammed into this sub-region, essentially, of the Highlands. So the Speyside, for our intents and purposes, is divided up into a few different sub-regions, typically aligned with the closest river. But regardless of where these distilleries are, there is such a depth of diversity and flavor among so many whiskey distilleries, whether they're on opposite ends of the Speyside or perhaps neighbors, like we'll see today. So I think this is a great way to kick off. So today we're going to be talking about Speyside. On Thursday, I'll be back to discuss Campbelltown with my good buddy Ben. And then next week, Jenna and I will be tackling Highland and Islay. And then middle of next week, I have a special guest who I can't wait to chat with. So for now, the party's just beginning, so let's get it going. And I'd like to bring on the rest of the gang to help me go through these whiskeys. Jenna.
Good morning.
And Zach and Ben. Hello. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Nothing like a morning tasting on a Tuesday, but
yeah, I guess Zach and I at least are like past noon, so that's good, right? But Jenna, man, you're a trooper. 9 a.m. That's an awesome way to start the day.
It really is. I'm not complaining.
Thanks, guys, for joining me, and it's awesome to be back together. We did a little quartet tasting not too long ago with those international whiskeys, and I thought that was a lot of fun. So very pleased to share these whiskeys with you guys today. So I chose 6. We only have 5 to taste today, and I think that's fine considering we have to speak to our beloved members after we're all done. We don't want to be tripping over our words. So there are 5 here today that we're tasting from a few different subregions of the Speyside. You have Speyside Spey and Speyside Lossy represented here today. And while it's only 2 subregions, I mean, these whiskeys are wildly different from each other. And I think it's going to be really interesting to get into them. So we have 2 official celebratory labels that we're releasing at 1 p.m. today. And with those, I've curated a few other casks that I thought were pretty interesting for, different reasons. So we could kind of, celebrate to the maximum extent as much as we can. And so these 2 celebratory labels are joined by some other fun friends. So so in the I think in the spirit of time management, maybe we should get rolling with the first cask. You guys have any comments? Are you excited for the ensuing festival season?
I mean, this is like Christmas in May.
Nice.
It's like the most exciting. This is the most exciting month for Scotch whiskey. So yes, I'm excited.
Awesome. And we should, Ben, why don't you welcome the folks in the chat for me? I'm still a little green on that kind of stuff. Help me out.
Yes. As the millennial here, I'm going to just welcome. So first of all, welcome everyone. This is pretty exciting, and as you said, it is in May. For a season, I think when typically we think of whiskey like being cold weather seasons, but I just love the fact that May has these festivals going on in Scotland and brings a lot of love. And so first of all, shout out to Daniel Duggar, first in the chat, which I don't think it's your first time. It says, "Hi everybody, happy festival season." Like Bishop says, "I'm not emotionally or financially prepared for this." I mean, I can't even.
Get ready, Nick. It's coming, buddy.
Manuel Duggar, RIP bank account. All right, guys, let's not talk about the financial woes. Let's just talk about whiskey here. We got a lot of good whiskey coming up. Bill does, and House Bill says, "Good morning. Looking forward to Speyside Festival bottlings." And just a lot of people enthusiastic. A lot of members, I presume, with us in the chat. I get an "oh man" in the chat if you guys are ready for this. I'm pretty excited. And Chris Henry says, "Just getting into these guys as a bourbon guy. These American releases they just did our fire." Welcome, Chris. Yeah, we're doing all Scotch today, of course. All from the region. And I don't know, just quick, you guys, what's your just interest in Speyside? And I'm curious to know how that's evolved over time. I just know that for myself, as someone who's been in the Scotch for years now, my sort of appreciation has really grown. I kind of went from really the really bold, sort of smoky Iowa whiskeys and sort of gradually developed a love for this style, which we'll be getting through. But I'm kind of curious, everybody in the chat, comment, as we get into the first whiskey, to understand how your relationship, this is kind of a weird way to say it, but how your relationship with Speyside whiskeys has evolved, if at all, as we get to it. That's sort of an underlying theme that we've published for myself. But yeah, great to have you all, and let's do it. Master Drum says, "Good morning, guys. May was an amazing nocturne." And it does feel a bit like we're releasing whiskey a lot now. Everything's been killer. So, Tom, you are to blame for that.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to stay on a tear, doing my best, But yeah, let's get into these guys. And if I may, I'll just mention my thoughts on Speyside. I'll actually, I'll share a story of someone else, actually, head distiller at Balcones, Jared. Jared Himstead, mentioned that one of the very first whiskeys, his I think as he said it, come to Jesus whiskey was Ardbeg, was distillery number 33, and fast forward, I think that happened, over 10 years ago. Fast forward to now, and almost everything he's interested in is digging out the nuance of different Speyside makes and barrel maturations, and so that kind of speaks to what you were saying, Ben, of sort of starting with big rambunctious flavors, and I think evolving your palate into seeking out something a bit more nuanced, a bit more refined, and yeah, I think it's just a different kind of exploration. I mean, are you looking for like stadium rock, or are you looking for cool jazz, that kind of thing? So it certainly, I think it certainly speaks to the mood you're in, perhaps the food you're eating, or the time of year. But it's a fun exploration of a bit more nuance. So it maybe takes a little more work to unpack all these aromas and flavors, but that's, I think, part of the fun for all of us.
Yeah.
So
I'm in full agreement. I love unpacking the flavors and just trying to find them. And Speyside is usually a place I love to look when it comes to that.
May I try this? Our first whiskey here. So we're going to kick it off. We're going to kick it off right now with cask 9.194, floating through ferns. This is oh boy, I'm sorry, guys. I'm still really bad at this.
Hey, there you go.
Is that all right? Yeah.
That's perfect.
That's a 12-year-old in a refill ex-bourbon barrel, weighing in at 55.9%, which isn't crazy for our first whiskey. Sometimes they're plus 60. But this is a lovely distillery from the central Speyside. We're really kind of known in Europe and Asia for years and years, specifically Italy, before it was introduced to other parts of the world. And distills here have a lot going on as far as creating a lot of reflux, and subsequently the make is fairly delicate here, and we'll see how that comes through in the single cask. Oftentimes, as we know, the cask itself might be a bit different than the house style, but let's dive in. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes.
Mm.
The comment as we're kind of tasting this comment from Daniel Douglas says, as a peat lover, I've been really enjoying Speyside, some juicy oak and vanilla and deep, rich and dried fruits. And
Nice.
yeah, we'll see probably through this session here, this little breakfast tasting. There is quite a variety of different styles, within this region alone. So this one,
Yeah.
yeah, Zach, what do you think? Let's do it. Thoughts on this?
Yeah, no.
Cool.
I mean, I've been smelling it for a couple minutes now, and it's evolved a little bit. But I'm really getting like a berries and cream vibe. It's a very, very creamy, like viscous style nose. And I don't know how to explain it, but I'm getting like rind from fruits, maybe like tropical fruits, like the kiwi peel or like a coconut husk. It's not really fruity, but it's like kind of like an earthiness almost. And then the palate, it brings forth the berries and cream, more so fruity though, kind of like some red fruits, not too tart, but definitely there. And then some like wintergreen on the finish. It's not like alcohol burn, but it's a nice like refreshing feeling coming off of the palate. But it's very nice. It's just like you said, it's delicate, but there's a lot of flavor to unpack in there.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that, Zach. I think this whiskey reminds me of a giant bowl of oatmeal, and you slap a big old spoonful of lemon curd in it and then top it with mint leaves, because you get that like cooling, like refreshing quality on the finish. Like it feels like you almost used mouthwash, and you're ready to go kiss someone. I don't know. It's like just really fresh and really bright. And then I get like that lemon. There's like mild sweetness. It's not overly sweet, but like that earthy, like lemony. Yeah, it's like oatmeal with a big old splash of lemon curd in it. And then you chew on mint leaves afterwards. This is really fun.
I'm getting everything you're saying in the nose now. Every single thing. Oh, I love that power of suggestion.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I want breakfast. Maybe I really want a big bowl of oatmeal. I don't know. Maybe it's my mind telling me like.
Oh.
I feel like I just put one of those. You remember those little strips, like the Listerine strips, when you pull one out and you put it on your tongue? That's how I feel right now.
Yeah, there is a very fresh,
yeah,
like mintiness on the end of this. Really fun.
Yeah.
It's a very this is kind of a classical Speyside, like a great start when you think of Speyside whiskeys, non-society spirits as well. If you think of sort of the 12-year-old accessible sort of orchard fruit drizzle in the honey type, is sort of barrel versus and spirit driven experience. This is very light. It's delicate. It's nuanced. Oh yeah. And at 55.9%, it's super approachable, which just kind of blows my mind. I haven't added water. I'll do it for, a little bit later, but as is, it's a very, very soft and sort of like I said, elegant whiskey. And for that reason, probably that's why it's suitable for breakfast. It's easy to start the day with a whiskey like this. Okay.
Well, yeah, I get a lot of minerality almost, really marked freshness, as you guys were mentioning. My first nose was very much about that mint characteristic you were speaking of, Jenna, and just a lot of really fresh, vibrant aromas, and oh yeah, that's nice.
And that finish is long. Like I'm still getting that like I just used mouthwash sensation in my mouth, and I just drank water, and it like intensified it. So,
well, I'm getting a bit more of the fruitiness, almost like a dryness for sure, but a touch of that orchard fruit Ben speaks of at the entry, then kind of slightly a little bit of structure, kind of like a drying oakiness. And this is from a refill barrel, so interesting to get a bit of that structure, I think. And on the finish, the finish is quite long, citrusy, a little kind of like grassy, herbaceous character, quite light and bright and very, very nice.
Yeah,
this is an interesting like whiskey. A lot of these whiskeys, we've read that in their youth, they're very much like an aperitif style whiskey.
Yeah.
But if you're going to throw them in a sherry cask or age them for 30 years, and we've seen that in our own society releases, this distillery can really take on different faces as far as intensity and such. But yeah, this is a very good one to start off with, I think. So that's Floating Through Ferns.
Yeah, love that name.
Beautiful little 12-year. Yeah.
Very whimsical.
Very nice.
All right,
Yeah.
and where are we going? I'm like looking at all 5 of these things, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm thinking, man, all these are dropping in 45 minutes.
Okay.
So we have a marathon. We got a marathon of whiskey here.
Right. So next, boom, boom, boom. There we are. This is cask 113.41, aged to perfection. This is a 23-year-old Speyside Spey and a refill Hoggy, and that's at 54.3%. So one might ask, why would you put a 54 after a 55? When you guys grab a bottle of this and you nose it, then you'll know why.
What?
The aromas are like mind-bending. Oh man,
This is insane.
Yeah, that's a really cool nose.
Wow.
So again, this is not a celebratory label. This is a cask that we've brought along because we thought it would be really cool to release with these very special labels. And you guys know all of our whiskey is amazing. I mean, we had a whiskey sell out in 3 minutes because it got an award, but that's because we submitted it. So there's so much quality there, all over the portfolio. So typically from this distillery, we're seeing young and sprightly kind of 7, 8, 9-year-olds. That's what we typically release. So I thought it was really cool to introduce this guy, age 23 years, all 23 years in a refill hogshead. So to let that, again, this is another sort of more delicate style whiskey. But the nose has so much depth to it.
The first nose on this literally was the epitome of sweet, fruity, and mellow for me. I mean, everything about it is when I want a sweet, fruity, and mellow, this is what I think about. The flavor's there. It's in your face. It's exploding in your nose, but it's still so relaxed. It's not huge and overly potent. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Like white flowers, some nice light red fruits. It's like they're almost stewed because the flavor is just it's so relaxed and mellow. I don't know how else to put that. Oh man.
Jenna, talk to us.
Okay. First, my brain's like, WTF, what is happening right now? So on the nose, like I instantly got like being in like an old castle where there's like a fair happening and there was like funnel cake and like cinnamon, like all of these things kind of swirling. Like I just got big funnel cake and almost like a cotton candy, like bubblegum note on that. And it was like super crazy. But as I'm like actually now drinking it and tasting it, I'm getting a lot of that like floral, that like lily white flower kind of note.
Yes.
But there's like a dusty, like old book element to this that that is one of my favorite things to find in a whiskey, that like transports you to like an old like library and you're in a big leather chair and there's like dusty books everywhere and like cobwebs in the corners, and this is that whiskey. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Yeah.
This
is crazy.
This really is.
That's a really fun. I mean, I'm glad you guys are impressed by it, because I was really curious to try a 113 with this kind of age, and it does not disappoint. I'd like to see a few more, maybe 18 years and older.
Wow.
Yeah. Ben, do you like this whiskey? Love this whiskey?
Yeah, it's funny, 'cause the first one we had was sort of a good sort of modern representation of the Speyside style. This is a bit more of yesteryear.
Yeah.
Complexity is I think something you don't have to search too hard for. But this one, it's pretty much right there. You know, the minute you know it, you realize there's just more depth and there's a lot going on.
Holy cow.
It is something that you can spend a lot of time with, and in a way, with all due respect, it feels like, you know, on YouTube, all these things going on. It's probably not doing it justice, because I think it really, you need to kind of go in a room or a dram. You can talk 30 minutes with a half ounce. It is that.
Yeah.
And it is unique. You know, the refill cask for 23 years was definitely influential in the development of spirit, but it is still spirit driven. You have a lot of the sort of essence and fruity characteristics of the spirit. That's really lasted 23 years. And I like that. I like that in a whiskey a lot when it's not.
Yeah.
And I think too often do we lust for really cask heavy whiskeys. We have something like this that was just sort of an old school creation of simple, you know, barley, yeast, water, and time. And time is a major influence on this one. So I think it's
Wow.
you know what I mean? It's a really classic.
It was beautiful, Ben. It was beautiful. It was really nice.
So,
Poetic.
I mean, this is a poetic whiskey, so
Killer whiskey, kids. Killer whiskey. That's a good one.
Yeah.
No need for water, I don't think.
Yeah,
I'm
not touching it.
I didn't want to either.
I've
Yeah.
had it, and I think
Save the water for another whiskey, but probably not the next one. I don't know. So
Okay.
these two are lovely, two sweet, fruity, and mellow expressions to kind of get us warmed up and get Ben waxing poetic. So I can't wait till you wax on this next one, dude. This is going to be a good one. So this is our first of two celebratory labels this afternoon/morning. And this, I'm very excited for this, is Cask 63.72. Commands your attention. This is an 18-year-old number 63 in a first fill ex-bourbon barrel. So we spent our first two drams with arguably more inactive casks, where the make is going to come through a bit more in theory. Of course, everything's in theory with Scotch, but with this guy, this is a first fill ex-bourbon barrel. So you have all those flavors garnered from the cask, combined with a make now that is kind of the next level up in richness. I mean, we're not talking about worm tub type sulfuric meatiness or anything like that, but you're definitely a mark above in textural richness. So this is our first celebratory label. I'll just throw that up there again, so you can see a bit of the, you know, Chiquita banana head there. Speaks to the I would say the aromas that are about to ensue in the glass. So I love Distillery 63. When I first started doing these large scale tastings with the society, I mean, of course, I was like bowled over by everything I was opening. And regardless of who was in the room, we were always the table that people were talking about, and for good reason. I mean, it's just a very unique proposition. But I remember I was doing a tasting in New York City at this little place called Fine and Rare. It was for a private birthday party. And we had this number 63. I want to say it was 25 years old. And that was the whiskey. I mean, this thing was going up against 50-year-olds, like some crazy stuff. And that was the whiskey that just about everybody was talking about. And it's just awesome. I mean, we don't see it. We don't see it in blend. I mean, we only see it in blends, rather. You very rarely see it in single malt. So any of the 63s that come out are a real treat. But to have it in a celebratory label, even cooler. I'll shut up and start nosing.
You're just missing out, man. This is
wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
This brings me back. Did you guys ever have those little fruit cups that had like the cut up fruit, the diced fruit, and the syrup, like the little plastic cups? It reminds me of opening one of those and just getting a blast in the nose of that. It wasn't even jellied, but like that syruped mixed tropical fruit.
Oh, like the Del Monte. Okay, I was like,
Yes. I didn't know how to explain that. The little, like the rounded fruit cup.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sugar and like some maraschino.
Yeah, it just elevated the aromas of it as soon as you rip that plastic off the top.
I
mean, it's the same kind of goes in the palate too. I'm getting like fruit strips, like the fruit leathers that you can buy, that they're like adult fruit roll-ups where it's all natural fruits. So you're getting a little bit of like texture to it, but you're still getting the fruitiness. This is mind-blowing to me. This is just crazy.
I mean, I'm not really getting that. The Del Monte, I can see where you're getting that from, but
I got that. I didn't get
I'm getting more fresh, like fresh fruit salad. I'm sitting under a cabana on a beach, and I've just been served like, you know, the tropical medley that comes with breakfast.
I thought the nose on this literally transported me to a dunnage warehouse. This smells like a dunnage warehouse to me. I'm not getting fruit on the nose at all on this, but then when I taste it, it's like eating a handful of runts.
I was getting the little yellow ones.
Yes, it is literally like popping a handful of runts in your mouth.
Yes.
And while you're standing in the middle of a dunnage warehouse. That's insane.
One picturesque thing to think about. Just stand in the middle of a dunnage warehouse with a bag of runts in your hand, and you're just like digging in.
Doing that right now, because I do.
I do too. I wish.
That is just silky smooth. Wow. Oh my God.
The nose is
perfectly ripe fruit, right?
Like,
I mean,
musty. I love this.
The nose has must for sure.
It's musty. Yeah. That's why I'm like, it's like wet and damp and it smells like wood and like that dunnagey like funk. And then you taste it and it's like, time out. It is runt explosion, fruit explosion, cabana on a beach eating a fruit plate explosion. I mean, it's all there.
I probably haven't thought about runts in about 30 years, but you have completely, and this whiskey has completely brought me back to like sucking on the banana runt.
Nice.
Yeah. That like, that like, oh man, wow. What a fun memory. Thank you, Jenna.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's 49.3%, which is strong enough. It's above sort of the non-chill filtration. So threshold. It is lighter, you know, in sort of in the body, but the flavor concentration is up there with anything I've ever had. I do pick up a lot of fruit from this. I think that fruit cup, it took me a minute to think like, what is this fruit cup? But then when you said that and I thought about it, where it's sort of official and sugary, I was like, oh yeah, man, that's right on. Obviously, it is a bit more cask than being sort of a fresher bourbon barrel over 18 years. The last one we had was a refill cask. This is the first one meeting that was used to age bourbon and then shipped right over to Scotland, filled with the spirit for 18 years. It's just you can't escape the flavor, and I think that's the one thing. It's just like the volume's up to 10.
That's crazy.
Really enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, just that you use the word concentration, and that's perfect. I mean, this is concentrated whiskey. The flavor is punching. Like
with Jenna, I was thinking banana runt. I couldn't get that out of my mind. But and as soon as he said it, I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only one because it was really drilling into my brain. Oh,
get some today, some runts. I'm gonna hunt some down. I'm gonna run some hunts. Hunt some runts.
Hunt some runts. Say that 5 times fast after.
Run some hunts for runts.
After 5 whiskeys, I'll try it.
Man, that's delicious. And again,
really,
you know, I know we have to keep it moving, but I wouldn't add. I'm going to add a touch on her, just real quick. I'm just curious. I mean, it certainly doesn't need it. Certainly doesn't need it. But more fruit.
Yeah,
more fruit on the nose with the water.
I was gonna say it's more of like a harder rock candy style fruit.
Rock candy.
Yeah,
that's good. That's really nice.
Yeah, I'm into it. This one really speaks to me. It commanded my attention.
So just very quickly for our members out there, any celebratory label that we show you is a USA exclusive. So that's something after last year we really pushed for, to get exclusive casks for all of our celebratory labels. So in the coming days, anytime you see a celebratory label, just understand that it's not a 30 bottle or a 60 bottle allocation. These are all of them over 100 bottles. So yeah, so that's nice. There's more whiskey to go around, and that's something that we really pushed for very hard. So yeah, so this guy, I think there are about 120 bottles of this. That is the entire allocation. It was a smaller outturn because of its time in cask. Obviously, the Angels got nice and sporty off of this one. But yeah, sometimes you see a 30-year, and it's still like 58%. So you know, in any case, that's a really beautiful whiskey. Really, really fun. Certainly commands our attention, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
So, shall we go to the next one? Is that cool?
2 more. We
All
got
right.
27 minutes right now. It's all
27 minutes. We got 2 whiskeys left. All right, cool.
27 minutes will release, and everybody, we're going to be taking orders at that time. So
yeah, right. So bear with us. Bear with us.
Yeah. Let's get rolling.
Okay, so next we are in the Speyside Lossy now. This is cask 95.46, earthy and mysterious. What is that on there? That's a cigar and a hot dog. Is that a hot dog? Oh yeah, we got a hot dog. We got some cloves and oranges and a cinnamon stick with some cherries. So can anybody guess the cask? Oh, it's sitting right there at the bottom of the screen. Yes, second fill, charred red wine barrique. So this is an 8-year-old. It spent 5 years in ex-bourbon. Then was transferred after 5 years into this red wine barrique. So so that's the cask protocol. This is the first of 2 wine finishes just to conclude with today. And actually, these two 63 and 95 are neighbors. They're not too far from each other in the Speyside, but pretty different styles of make. Where 63 has more kind of a clovey, dry, and kind of lighter style compared to 95, which is fairly nutty and malty. It wasn't always like that. If you go back to 95's expressions that were put into blends, 15, 20 years ago, there's a lot more like kind of grassy, herbaceous, light character. But today they've kind of switched that up to lend different profiles to the blends. So typically what we're getting these days, and certainly with this malt, is a bit firmer, and that's compounded by the additional maturation of the red wine.
Zach, you were waxing lyrical about this.
Wow.
So let's have it.
I mean, I love wine casks. I love the exploration of it. I love trying them. So they always intrigue me. But this is just the label just makes so much sense. It's earthy. It reminds me a lot of like a Nebbiolo, where you get that like truffly kind of like those red violets, some red licorice. But at the same time, I'm getting like yeasty breads from a bakery. Think like yeast donuts or like light fluffy breads. It's just all over the place, but everything just works so well. It's like a journey. Like I start with those yeasty bakery items, and then it gets to fruity and then earthy, and it's just everything. Oh my gosh.
Zach, you come from the wine side of the business originally, just like I do. And I absolutely love the parallel between Nebbiolo and this whiskey.
Oh my God.
That is spot on, dude. Spot on.
Oh. It's just, and it's over 60%, and it's not at all putting me down. I mean, I could drink this and not worry about
61.3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not doing anything to me. It's super nice and drinkable.
I think if you were to put this in a blind, you could really fool someone into thinking that this is a 20 plus like sherry cask matured whiskey.
Oh.
Oloroso, right? I mean, I stick my nose in here and I think of a dry Oloroso.
The nose is like super nutty. There's like an ointment-like quality to the nose. And then you taste it and you're like, time out. Did they like mislabel this bottle? Like, what am I drinking? It is really dense. It's super rich. And I think that, like I said, in a blind, I think you could have some fun in tricking some people into thinking this is something very different.
Yeah, I think red wine casks are, depending on kind of your own experience with red wine casks, they can be tough to sort of wrap your head around at the beginning. This to me kind of speaks everything. It speaks volumes about like what red wine is. It has a sort of a very aggressive tannic grip to it. It is dry, and I could see the confusion for maybe like an Oloroso sherry. But when you kind of get into it, there's a bit more sort of like a lavender and floral note that I think accompanies red wine cask maturation, as opposed to a fortified like sherry, which is a bit more sweeter and deeper. It's very exotic. I think is the way.
Yeah.
And I agree that age is, as we talk about the second with a 23-year-old, and I was suggesting that's like a very old whiskey for sure. Sometimes it's easy to sort of simulate the effects of aging with just complexity from different levels. And this sort of cask adds a lot of complexity to it. And I just think it has a ton of character. Like there's a personality to this whiskey where it's, above you so far, you feel like you're in the room with somebody else.
I would almost say if someone is into sherry and they're looking to kind of bridge over to a red wine cask, this is the perfect one. This is the perfect one because it's not steeped in kind of red berry fruit that you would typically get from either a red wine or a port barrique.
Yeah.
It has a lot more of that nuttiness, I think, from the make itself, but still has a lot of ripeness from the cask.
Yeah.
If I may, a couple things. Scotch Test Dummies was asking in the Dark of the Abyss. That was a 63, and yes, that was 63.49. That was a hell of a whiskey.
That was a shit.
Yeah.
And if I just may make a personal shout out, Mr. Charlie Rodman is watching. Charlie, I hope you're well and enjoying a lot of amazing whiskey in Charleston. Miss you, buddy. Miss you in New York for sure. But yeah, this is great. I mean, this has all kinds of things going on.
Yeah.
But
I have to touch on what Ben said about the lavender note. I'm getting that on the finish, like big time. It is like a lavender, like dryer sheet. like
Mrs. Myers. Yeah.
Yes, it's like Mrs. Myers lavender dryer sheet on the finish. So I'm definitely getting that lavender note. So that's really spot on.
It's really evolving too. It's a helpful.
Oh yeah, this is something that probably will do very well with water, but maybe you guys can enjoy that exploration on your own.
Yes.
Because we should probably move on.
Yes.
But once again, earthy and mysterious. You have a cigar in there. You have a hot dog with some cloves and oranges and cherries. That's a pretty representative label there. Yeah, that's nice. Michael A. Hall making it happen for us with these illustrative labels. What a talent. Anyway, moving on. We have one last little whiskey here.
That color.
I don't know much about this distillery number 24. I've dabbled, but anyway, yeah, this is another cask that we've thrown in the mix here for you.
Oh.
This is cask 24.147. It might as well say an ode to Ron Burgundy on it, but this is entitled "The Deepest of Mahogany." So if you want to cannonball your way into sherry, this is a way to do it.
Cannonball.
This is This is an interesting cask. So this is actually something that has popped up. It started popping up, I want to say in September of last year, where Ewan Campbell, a gentleman who I will be speaking with next week on Wednesday on our YouTube channel, which I'm very excited about. He started identifying some casks in larger format cask maturations and marrying them together, essentially vatting them or combining them. And then from there, starting with that juice and then taking that juice out and putting it into separate casks from there. So you have a volume of, say, 10 casks, in a tub. And then of those 10 casks, you're transferring them to first fill American oak, first fill PX, first fill Oloroso, second fill red wine, whatever it may be. And this is done first, I think probably first and foremost out of just curiosity to see how these things develop. If any of our members who are watching remember the Jazz Trio, that's what happened there. This number 24 was combined and then put into 3 different casks and sold in separate bottlings. So this is what we have here. In October of 2008, there were several Oloroso butts that were combined and then put into additional maturations. And this is one of the first that we are seeing in the U.S. And there are a few more of these to come. So I'll stop talking and let you guys start talking about the taste.
Wild.
I immediately think cherry Coke. I can't get my mind off of it. Without the fizz, it's cherry Coke through and through. It's just on the palate though, it kind of expands to like that gooey, syrupy PX. But I mean, I'm getting toffee. I just cannot. That cherry Coke is just so, and it's in the best way possible. It's just, it's yummy.
Holy shit. I mean, come on. This is crazy.
Yes.
I mean, this is an oak bomb. I mean, we should be, I mean, I will say that this is an oak bomb. I mean, this is like tannic. Like,
yes.
That is a lot of like sherry soaked wood in that glass.
Yes.
The nose on this, I love to bake. And so it's like when you put a big stick of butter in a pot and you're melting it, and then you throw a big heap of brown sugar into that butter to melt it on that. That smell is the nose on this. It's like gritty and it's sweet and it's that brown sugar and like butter melting goodness where you just want to stick the whole spoon in the pot and eat it. It's that. But the palate on this, wow. This distillery is actually very special to me because this is the distillery that actually got me into whiskey. It is literally the reason I'm sitting here today.
It's your come to Jesus whiskey.
It is. And I'm so grateful for them I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this distillery. And so I'm not going to cry or anything like that, but this is just an incredibly special whiskey. I mean, I've not had anything like this in some time. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. The palate on this is explosive and it is literally Ron Burgundy in a glass. It is everything that you would want in a sherry whiskey. And
don't act like you're not impressed.
I'm very, very impressed. This was a great choice.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Jenna.
This is
and especially after that endorsement, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, this, like the 46.104, will probably be gone in 3 or 4 minutes. So those of you who are watching have a step up on everyone else. So get on there and get what you can. It's a 1 bottle limit, but they're going to go very quickly. Just know that there are more of these casks to come, and they are all equally fantastic. So you might be a little disappointed in the moment if this is out of stock when you try to check out, but just know that there are other opportunities. And of course, talk to us, and we'll help you out however we can.
Amazing.
I do want to bring up
I'm kind of a big deal. Nice.
One point in the chat, Craig did ask with the festival bottles if it is possible to hold off on shipping them till the end of all the festivals. It is. We will be happy to hold them for you. We do require that you ask us, though, or put a note in the order, or ask us when you call so we can get that held for you for the time being. So
I'm adding water to this one. I know we got to go. You guys are all looking down very pensively at your phones and stuff.
I'm just looking at the whiskey some more.
No.
You're with me. You're with me, Zach. Very good.
When's it available? I'm blowing up right now.
When is it available? It's available in 13 minutes or so.
In 13 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tom, in conclusion, these were all 5 were fantastic. I'm certain.
And there is a sixth.
Yeah.
Just to mention very briefly, cask 48.120. This is I want to say an 8-year-old in a first fill barrel from distillery number 48. That's called Worm Tub Stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, just
great. Sorry, 7 years.
We don't have it in front of us, but that's
so that's the 6th. Yeah, it just arrived at our warehouse yesterday, so we couldn't get it on the stream. But that's our 6th whiskey. So that's it's a very meaty kind of expression that where the make is created from the use of worm tubs. A lot less copper conversation than shell and tube. So a bit more of the sulfuric, heavier elements in the resultant new make, and big, broad, intense stuff. We have that coming out today. We still have 48.118 on the website. So brilliant examples of what I think is one of the true sleepers of the Speyside in Distillery 48. Wow.
I love that.
This last one is really, really nice. I've added water. I would recommend adding water and revisiting. Mm-hmm. But for those of you who are not fans of sulfur, just know that there is basically no sulfur on this nose.
Yeah, that is
awesome. So
I'll point out to Tom's point on that one that we did not have. Stodge is pretty spot on with that description. It's just a heavy filling, high carb food is literally what it means. So it fits in pretty well, it seems, with the name.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you for joining us.
That's nothing like a little speed tasting, huh?
Yeah. Thanks for that amazing breakfast.
Yeah.
Just to recap.
All right, guys. Well,
10 minutes.
Sorry.
10 minutes ago, before the release, make sure to log in your accounts, your number at SMWS.com. Obviously, you can call us, our team as well, with a phone. We try to suggest being online if we can, or both. But obviously, with a small team that we have here, we'll take as many phone calls as we possibly can. But there are only so many of us, and it'll be a bit of a fun experience nonetheless. But anyway, Tom, thank you for the selection. It's just amazing to have 5 of these. I know we have 6 coming out in a few minutes, but all the 5 that we've tasted of the 6 were all just super diverse and really, I think, speak to the variety of different spirits that come out of Speyside. Even though it is just one region, we have to, I think, just call it as it is. There's so many different expressions. We had young and old, cask heavy, spirit driven. We had really everything under the sun, I think, from these 5.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and like I mentioned, this is the first of a few tastings. Those of you out there who are still watching, you're stuck with me basically this week and next week. So we'll be taking you through a lot of really cool whiskeys, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah,
we'll see you soon for sure.
Look forward to talking.
All right, guys.
It'll be fun.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks so much. Slanja.
Thanks.